Hi, this is Dominic Keating. I played Lieutenant Malcolm Reed on Enterprise, as you probably know, and you are listening to the NX 7062 podcast. Enjoy.
Yes, you are. It is time once again for the NX 7062 podcast, the final episode of the season. That's right, I give myself seasons. And I am so glad to be here. I'm Magic Lasso, first in tonight, and he's got a lovely message for my guest who's coming out in a minute. Hello, Magic Lasso. Thank you, as always, for joining me here. Happy Memorial Day. It is Memorial Day. And I realized last year I took this Monday off, but I decided since things were winding down and I was going to make this the last episode of the season, it was silly just to take one weekend off and then come back next week for one show. So here we are. I hope people are kind of winding their Memorial Days down here on the East Coast. It is 10 o'clock. So here we all are. Updates. Bob Picardo is guest 100 for STLV, a nice even 100. And they have added him as a participant in the gala, which makes total sense. Destination Star Trek just released this week that, they're only doing one destination this year, and it is going to be Dortmund. My German's a little rusty. Dortmund, Germany. The destination London has been canceled. They transferred people's tickets over to Germany. So hopefully anybody that bought an airline ticket already to head over to the UK, hey, Faith, who grabbed the ticket to head over to the UK can switch it. Or maybe they're going to switch it to July 8th, 9th, and 10th because Showrunner is doing a Comic-Con in the UK to make up. I don't know if to make up is a good word. I don't know if the Destination Star Trek people made a deal with Showrunner. But the London event is a Comic-Con, and they're doing a salute to Star Trek. So if you're dying for UK and Star Trek, there is still a chance. It just won't be the official destination Star Trek. It's going to be a salute to Star Trek at a London Comic-Con. And Nicole, hello, Blue, good to see you. Nicole DeBoer is going to be there. Connor Trenier is going to be there. Anthony Montgomery is going to be there. Bob O'Reilly is going to be there. There's a ton of people. There's a ton of other people, but those are the three people that I'm really upset that I'm not going to get a chance to see. And I actually already told Nicole DeBoer how jealous I am that she's going to London. We are both huge fans of the UK, and I'm just really jealous that she's getting to go over. And I hope everybody that's going over has a very safe trip and a wonderful time. And speaking of Nicole DeBoer, big thank you to Travis Owens, who has gotten his question in for STLV for Nicole. So as always, I am going to Vegas, which is now at the end of August, and I will be trying to get your questions answered. I have Connor and Dominic questions from last year. Does not mean that you can't submit new ones for those guys. If I can't get them answered myself, maybe I can get them to answer them on the Shuttlepod show. Who knows? But if you have a favorite actor who is going to be in the vendor's room, and you can check that on Creation's website. If you have a favorite actor that's going to be in the vendor's room, send me a question. I cannot make any guarantees because it depends on their timing, who's handling them, how they feel about stopping for interviews. Because again, everybody's losing a day. It is a 4-day convention this year, so it all obviously depends on just how the people feel about either walking away from the table or having me sit at the table with them doing the interview. I try. But obviously, if somebody says no, I don't push. But anyway, that's just the disclaimer. But I still encourage you to send me those questions for the people in the vendor's room because hopefully I will get them answered for you. So I have talked to my very special guest for the evening, and she does not watch Shuttlepod Show. She does watch Strange New Worlds. So I figured, why not invite her in? We'll talk about Strange New Worlds, and then we'll still talk about Shuttlepod Show anyway. And then we can talk about, I don't know, some things that she's done very recently that are Star Trek related that I'm sure you'll love to hear about. And without further ado, as Magic Lasso says, the always charming Malissa Longo. Hello. Hi. Nice picture. You do. That's why I keep asking you back, because you're charming. There you go.
Okay.
But I do love that picture behind you. That's one of the original Seventh Rule pictures, isn't it? It's from...
No, this was made by J.R. Poole after Aaron passed.
Oh, it was after. Mm-hmm. JR is so talented.
He is talented.
And he's such a sweetheart. We were across from him in Chicago because he was there with the New York team.
Yeah.
And he was across from us. And yeah, he is. He actually offered to make some Shuttlepod Show buttons for Connor and Dominic.
Oh, yeah. He's got great buttons. He's
awesome. Oh.
Maybe.
While you're looking, Blue says welcome.
Hello.
Faith says hi. Lasso says hi again. Actually, Lasso says Melissa time.
Woohoo! I don't know where it is.
So that's okay. If you think of it. I should have Joe on next season, maybe, and then he could show us all the buttons.
Who?
Maybe I'll have JR on next season, and then he'll be able to show us his buttons himself.
Yeah.
He would be a fun guy to have on.
He's just here.
Oh, Blue, that's so sweet. He says Melissa time is his favorite time. Or our favorite time. Yeah, okay, fine. You know, I guess NX 7062 time isn't good enough, but whatever. So let's talk about Strange New Worlds. Oh.
Yeah, I was just there.
you were over in the live chat?
Yeah.
See, everybody does. Does Ryan know you're cheating on him and you're coming over here?
No. But Faith, you can tell him if you want.
Yeah, sure. Go advertise. You know, I am, after all, the Seventh Rule after party. So tell everybody who wants to pop over here, you know, because I know that they're wrapping up anyway. So Faith, if you want to go tell them, you know, the after party just got better because I got Melissa on camera. So they can all come over here. That would be awesome. Or if anybody else out there is watching, because a lot, you know, it's so cool. I've got, since we share the chat pack, because I have chat pack 2.0, since we share the chat pack, I've had people doing double duty and watching both me and them while they're wrapping up. So
it's not a secret. I just didn't tell him. It's not a secret.
It's not a secret. In fact, the last time Lisa was on, Ryan showed up. So
yeah.
To torture us.
If you say, you know, go check out
NX 7062. Yep.
At the end of you know.
Yeah, make sure you're clear that, you know, we don't expect anybody to jump right over. It is an after party. That's right. She's wrestling with two babies.
Oh, yes.
That's true. Moms need octopuses. I swear to God, if there was a way to make that Doc Octopus thing an actuality without turning people evil, I think there are probably a lot of mothers that would appreciate that.
Yeah.
That was an episode of Charmed that I just caught on a rerun where Piper got imbued with an Indian goddess, the Indian goddess of fertility, and she ended up sprouting arms. So she had 6 arms, and she had her baby. So she's changing the babies and folding laundry.
Oh, I don't remember that episode.
That was obviously it was a later episode because I think she had both babies. I think she had Wyatt and Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So yep. See, the only problem is that the goddess of fertility, if she had hooked up with her man, it would have destroyed all creation. So usual stuff. So Strange New Worlds, we're now 4 episodes in, Melissa. What are your thoughts on Strange New Worlds?
I love it. I love it.
Tell us what you really think.
I love it.
All right, real quick, Cerulean Blue, you can watch Charmed or tape Charmed if you get TNT runs it like from 6 a.m. It's on ridiculously early, so if you really, you'd have to tape it. But it's on. But TNT runs it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And John Delancey, there's your Star Trek tie-in. John Delancey played an elder.
By the power of Delancey.
There you go. By the power, he was an elder. He was a Q. That man, everything he does, he always has all the power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who else was in Charm that I liked? Oh, Julian McMahon was in it.
And Armin was on it. He was in an episode.
That sounds right.
He was. I can't remember though.
That sounds right. Faith says Strange New Worlds is great. I kept my expectations low. Yeah, no, I think visually, I think it's stunning. Visually, I think it's absolutely stunning.
Mm-hmm.
I love all the characters. Well, I'm having a problem with the Anar. I'm so spoiled by the way. I mean, I know they were only in a few episodes of Enterprise, but the way they're characterized in Strange New Worlds is very different. And yes, Armin was in everything, not just 90s. Go back to the 80s. He was in Beauty and the Beast, baby.
Oh my gosh, I love that show.
Oh my god, I could talk about Beauty and the Beast. I could do a whole completely separate podcast about Beauty and the Beast. All right, and you ready for me? I will totally bring this around to Star Trek. Not only was Armin in it as a regular, Pascal, Jeff Combs did an episode. Eric Pierpoint did an episode. Yep. So, I mean, Linda Hamilton was fantastic. Ron Perlman.
They both had such great chemistry.
They did. And Ron Perlman was beautiful. I actually know a makeup special effects artist when I was, I was working Chiller. Wait. Yeah, I was working Chiller, and Damien, who's actually just gotten done doing a film with Jeff Combs, it's due out soon, I hope, did his face. And I was eating dinner, and I came back to the hotel bar from dinner, and I turn around, and Vincent is standing there, and somebody's like, "That's Damien." And I said, "Of course it." I was like, "That's Vincent from Beauty and the Beast." Like, you didn't even, I walked right up to him like, "Vincent?" He's like, "Uh-huh." I mean, I'll find the picture, I'll post it, because he looked exactly like Ron Perlman.
Cool.
Did in the show. Damien is so stinking talented.
It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I had a crush on Vincent.
There's I got to tell Ron Perlman this story at a convention he did a few years ago for Sons of Anarchy. He helped me pass my Shakespeare class. I was taking a Shakespeare class, and one of the assignments was to memorize a sonnet. And I had already gotten the soundtrack to Beauty and the Beast, where he reads all the poetry over the music from the show. And he had a couple of Shakespearean sonnets. I had already memorized the 29th sonnet from listening to him do it on the tape. So I didn't even need to do anything. Everybody else is trying to, I'm like, I walked in, I'm like, I'm doing sonnet 29. And I told him that. I'm like, you helped me pass my Shakespeare class because I didn't need to memorize it. I had already done it thanks to you. Blue says, Strange New Worlds is wonderful for already bringing me in what I was missing. More of the character depth and development. We got spoiled by longer seasons in previous track. There's definitely a lot of character development. Yep.
Which is what I look for in shows personally, because all of the world building stuff doesn't mean anything if you can't connect to the characters, because it's those connections with the people that you're watching that make it a good show. Not, that's probably the most important part, I think. Yeah, I mean, La'an, I love, La'an's tragedies have already, we're already getting to know her. And I've likened this to, Denise Crosby, because Denise Crosby, Tasha was the head of security, and she'd had a very traumatic childhood, but it was always mentioned in passing, and they never really dove into it. The way we're already, 4 episodes in, and we're already learning about La'an's past and what makes her who she is. So I think that's really strong. I've always said they have an Enterprise syndrome going on, though, because they are a prequel. So, the only thing they can build off of is Enterprise.
like the Gorn, the first meeting of the Gorn was TOS. That's canon. How do you bring in the Gorn and not spoil the fact that TOS has already made it canon that was like the first time, but that was the first time we saw them.
It was the first time we saw them, but that doesn't mean that's the first time anybody else in the universe saw them.
Right, exactly. But see, that's the thing you have to deal with. Had Pike's Enterprise had an encounter with them, it would have been in the logs, so that would have screwed up Kirk because
possibly.
So they did it. So we haven't. Well, it's the same thing that they did with they did it with the Romulans in Enterprise. So like we want to bring in the Romulans, but how do we bring in the Romulans when we all know that they barely knew who the Romulans were 100 years later? And they did it in such a way that it worked. Because in Minefield, we never saw the Romulans. We didn't. Well, I should say, nobody saw the Romulans. All they knew was that they were these evil people with cloaking devices, and they almost killed Malcolm. We didn't know. We didn't know what they looked like. We didn't know where they came from. So they kept the encounters brief. And I read an article about the Gorn and how they had to be careful with bringing in the Gorn because of how TOS set it up, and how Enterprise handled it. It was a mirror unit. It was part of the mirror universe. So obviously, but I really didn't like that article because that article called Archer's Enterprise, the USS Enterprise. And for the first time I have ever wanted to comment, usually you read an article online and there's some place for you to comment on the article. Right. I wanted to say Archer's Enterprise was not a USS Enterprise. I wanted to correct it. And there was no place to comment.
Yeah, well,
but it was still a valid point about bringing in the Gorn and how you have to be careful. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I get that, but I think there's also, because the Gorn haven't been so explored very much, there's a little bit of room to play there. It's not like you have an established species that the ins and outs of, kind of the ins and outs of it so far, but I don't know. I'm okay. I'm okay if they fudge canon just a little bit to bring in the Gorn, because I want to know more about the Gorn.
And that actually kind of goes with what Blue just said.
It's more fun than
Yeah, no, but that's what Blue was saying with closer connections with Uhura and Chapel, Lower Decks. Yeah, because they're building on things that we all want to know about, like Uhura and Chapel didn't get. Yeah, exactly. Never saw the Gorn. That's how they get around things. Like you didn't see the Romulans. Leaves more room for the future. Absolutely. I just hope. I mean, Strange New Worlds. We don't know how long they're going to be around. I mean, it has an endpoint. My big question is always going to be when and if the series is going to end. I mean, obviously the series is going to end. Are they going to put him in the wheelchair? Because I don't think you can mess with Star Trek history that much. So I think he's going to end up.
No, because they've already established that he's going to end up in the chair.
Right, but see, that's the thing. Now that you know the future, can you change it?
Yeah, but that would change everything.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
The Gorn are not a fixed point in history.
Right.
Pike being in the chair is a fixed point in history that affects everything else down the line.
Right. True. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So he either's going to end up in the chair, or they'll end it. I could see them ending it right as he's walking into that situation, like the last scene ever, like when the show's over, could be Pike, because we've seen it in the flashes. We know what it's going to be. So I think what would be interesting is if the very last scene would be of Pike standing there, knowing that if he takes that step, where it's going to lead, and then just watching him take that step, and then that be the end. I think that would be interesting. I think that would be a good way to end it. Kind of takes the step, we know what's going to happen, boom, roll credits.
Or unless they make it a way where it's, yes, Pike ends up in the chair, but that doesn't mean he stays in the chair.
Yeah, but see, then we're in TOS territory because we know he's in the chair in Menagerie.
Right, exactly.
So now we're talking about moving into now we're talking about overlapping with the original series.
Yes, but they're kind of already going to do that, or have played around with that because
that's I was just going to say they played around with it because James Kirk.
Yeah,
but it would have to. All right, my first quiz question of the night, because I do not know the answer to this. I think the Menagerie was season 1, but if somebody could tell me where exactly the Menagerie falls in the Trek timeline, because now I'm curious. Like where in Star Trek the Menagerie falls. So if somebody wants to figure that out for me. Have you seen the Star Trek movies? Have you seen like the original movies?
Yes. I don't have the best memory with all of this stuff. No,
I'm asking because there was a scene where they decided to go in the nebula, and they're having all that talk like if they go in the nebula, that the Gorn ship follows them, the Gorn ship's going to have the same issues. And what popped into my head was a line from Star Trek 2 when they flew into the nebula, and Spock goes, "Sauce for the goose." I'm like, yep, that's it. Where if you fly into the nebula, we're going in the nebula, and yes, we're going to have all these problems, but guess what? So are they.
Yeah.
So thank you, Faith. Yeah, I thought it was. So, I mean, there could definitely be some overlap because it wasn't, really far into TOS. It was season 1. Thank you. And Blue, you are absolutely right. They'll do anything, making things work out for us fans. See, they could give us a transporter. Everybody loves that transporter double. Now that they've doubled down on it because they've done it in Lower Decks.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously they did it with Riker because we've got Tom Riker running around. So this is true. This is true. It's just how much, yeah. See, the thing is that I think we've all found that they do things that they think the fans are going to love, and then the fans end up.
Yeah, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't pander to the fans. I'm sorry, but as a fan, I don't want to be pandered to. I want to see world building and character exploration and exploring new species and relationship and how different species relate to each other. And I don't need to have these Easter eggs all the time, or it just
exactly. It guts the story
Tell a good story. That's the most important part. That focuses on these people that you're telling these stories about.
Right. And Faith says it guts the story if you just magically figure out some way to get Pike out of the wheelchair.
Exactly.
I mean, hello, Robert. Good of you to join us. So glad you're here. Happy Memorial Day. Thanks so much for hanging out. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, even in the Kelvin, this is what was interesting, and I know a lot of people Kelvin forget it, J.J. Abrams movie forget it, but what I always thought was interesting about the J.J. Abrams movies is that Pike's life took a different turn, but he still ended up in a wheelchair. So
that's his fate.
That's his fate. Yeah, I always thought that was interesting. That they're like, yeah, you know what? He might not have gone to this planet. He might not have done a lot of this other stuff, but he's still going to end up in the chair. And what you're saying, goes to something that I was talking to a friend of mine about, Melissa, about not pandering to the fans. Where was it? About whether or not some of the popularity, and I love it, but is some of the popularity just based on the nostalgia that it's bringing up and not?
I don't know, because yes, there's some, and I'm just speaking for myself personally.
Sure, of course.
I do have some nostalgia for, like Spock. Spock was my favorite when, in the movies and all of that stuff. I love Spock, but as something that was mentioned on the main viewer last week, it doesn't necessarily mean that I need to have more Spock.
Right.
So, and the reason I like Strange New Worlds so much is because they have been focusing on character and relationship. And we can see different people interact with each other right off the bat without having to go into huge exposition or explain, there's, I love La'an. I think she's fantastic. And she's a new character.
Right.
I think the writing in this show, in Strange New Worlds, is top notch. It's my favorite of the new live action shows.
I think I like what they're doing. I like what they're doing with like Uhura and Number One and Chapel, because these were characters we never did get to know.
Exactly.
Even though Uhura's been in however much she's been in it, you didn't get to know her as much, because obviously the character building in TOS was always based on the three guys.
Right.
So I like that they're doing this to honor such a strong character. They made her an incredibly strong character. J.J. Abrams made her an incredibly strong character, and now Strange New Worlds is picking up that mantle as well. And they're doing a lot of development and giving her this wonderful backstory. But they're not doing a lot of exposition. You're finding everything out, as I am always fond of saying. It's very organic. It's not like Peg sitting there going, "Well, Lieutenant, like Cadet Uhura, I've read your file, and it says your parents were murdered or died in the shuttle accident," and it says it's all very natural, conversational. How all of this is coming about, and how we get to learn about these people in these doses.
Right. And I agree with Blue that the secrets and whatever people's agendas or their past experiences does make it feel more personal, but it also is more honest. It's more honest about how people function. Everyone has a secret. Everyone has an agenda based on what their past experiences are.
Right, their past makes who they are. So yeah,
exactly. Absolutely. Their past traumas, the things that made them laugh, cry, whatever, their cultural upbringing. It's all part of who these people are, and that's more honest. It's not all going to be the same note. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no. I like it because it is very, very varied. There's a lot of nuance. I love Una. She's great too. I'm loving all of the characters. There's not one that I'm like, ugh.
Right. Well, and this is interesting. Faith believes that Roddenberry himself was adamant that he would not cater to fans. He was there to tell good stories.
Well, that's Ira's way of writing too. He's like, I want to write what I like.
And speaking of writers, this is the perfect transition to Shuttlepod Show. Since Shuttlepod Show had their 15th episode with Brannon Braga, who was a co-creator, who was always a writer. Like he hasn't directed, he hasn't acted. He's started out. This is who he was. He was a writer. So you got to hear his history of how he became the writer, how he came into Star Trek. He mentions the Orville, yay, because he is an executive producer on the Orville. He did not invite the guys on or say anything about them appearing on the Orville, but that would be really nice, since he's already had some Enterprise and other Star Trek alum come on the show. And Seth is obviously a Star Trek fan himself. So hopefully it's the 5th. It's coming up soon. The premiere of the Orville is coming up very soon. I want to say June. Is it the 2nd?
It's the 2nd.
It's the 2nd. So a couple days. And it's all on Hulu. So we get to see if Seth gets to drop the F-bomb. If he decides, since he's on Hulu, if they can. Because it's Seth, and we know.
It'll be interesting to see where they go with it, because, I just watched last week I watched the last 2 episodes of the 2nd season again, just to refresh my memory, and it could go anywhere.
Yeah, right now. I'm feeling like I might need to brush up on my Orville as well. Brandon actually told Dominic he liked his Mirror Universe look, which I thought was adorable because he's sporting that goatee now, which he did he have that in the Mirror? No, he actually didn't have that in the Mirror Universe. He did have it in an episode where they were in the future, but he didn't have it in the Mirror Universe. But I just thought it was funny that he called it that. And I liked that Dominic actually said, and I thought this was really interesting. It's like they've known Brandon for forever, since the show. But Dominic's like, I finally get you in a position where I can ask you questions that I've never had a chance to ask you. Mm-hmm. So it's nice that, you're sitting down and you're interviewing somebody and you're like, hey, it's been like, I've known you all this time, but now I've got you in my hot seat. So now I can ask you all these burning questions. Let's see. I always love the fact when you find out that people weren't fans of the show and that they ended up writing for it anyway. It's like, it was a job. He had seen the movies, but he wasn't like a diehard fan when they brought him on. And I didn't realize this. He wrote for TNG. Like, I didn't know that he's been in Trek that long.
Wow.
His first episode, this is a spoiler, he mentioned this first episode of TNG was Reunions. He said it was a rewrite. That was the episode where Worf finds out that he has a son.
Wow.
And that was such a good episode. I just saw it. It reran a couple weeks ago and I saw it. But yeah, he did he contributed. I think he said it was a rewrite of somebody else's, but that was like his first Trek
cool.
thing. And Dominic asked him, about writing, like what's it like to be a writer and the process, because as an actor, like they had these amazing back and forths about process and like Dominic's like, oh my god, a blank page scares the shit out of me. Like how do you do that? And I thought that it's really interesting to hear from, and you also, and I'm not going to spoil this, but you get to find out from the writers side of things, that whole don't change a word, don't change an and to a but unless you want to run it up the flagpole and make a call, and how actors like, oh well, any other show you work on, Brandon explains it. Like if you've ever really wanted to know why they were so meticulous and why it's like, yeah, you could change something, but it's a process. Brandon talks about it from the writer's perspective, and you finally get like you can empathize with why. Because I mean that's kind of it's kind of turned into a little bit of a not a joke, but like a running gag kind of thing. Oh, that nobody was allowed to change anything, but now you get to find out why from a writer's perspective. So I thought that was really interesting. Let's see. Kind of got into how Enterprise came about, which was interesting. The other thing, and like this is me yelling at the screen, not that anybody can hear me, but Dominic got it wrong. He's like, oh well, Enterprise was like 200 years before Star Trek. No, it was 100 years. I'm like yelling at the screen because nobody put up a little correction. Last time he got something majorly wrong, they put up a little correction at the bottom of the screen, but that one must have slipped by. So I'm like yelling at the screen, no, you're off by 100 years. And Melissa and I were having this conversation before, but oh, Stevie, hey babe. One of the cats just came in. If you saw that tail. Well, hello. Hello, Carl. Thanks for dropping in. But yeah, you get to find out kind of a little bit more about the Temporal Cold War and how that came about and what happened with it. For anybody that's had an issue with how Enterprise handled the Temporal Cold War and what the hell. So it's definitely obviously worth a tune in. The link is in the YouTube description if anybody wants to click over to Shuttlepod always after. If anybody wants to click over to Shuttlepod Show after and check it out. It's only, I think, a 45-minute interview. The other thing that was interesting, and I don't know if it's because I yelled about it here, or because they've had other complaints, but there were no commercials in the middle of this episode, which was awesome because the last couple of episodes, because I looked this up. When you monetize YouTube, when you have enough followers and you have enough hours viewed, and you get to monetize it so that you can tell YouTube you want ads in it, it's your choice whether you want to tag the beginning and the end with ads, or whether you also want to have ads in the middle.
Oh, yeah. don't tag the middle.
And they tagged the middle, and I was like, no, because YouTube makes that decision.
Right.
And it was annoying as hell.
Yeah.
And I actually brought it up, I think last week or the week before. I'm like, these ads are ridiculous. I get that you guys want to monetize it, but don't put the ads in the middle because you're not leaving breaks. Supposedly, the YouTube algorithm will look for breaks in your video on its own and drop them where it deems them appropriate. But if you don't,
no,
if
it's annoying because having watched a lot of videos on YouTube recently that aren't live, they just put them willy-nilly, it feels like.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm glad that they turned it off. I'm sure I wasn't the only one that complained, but I was actually actively complaining here because no holds barred with me. And I'm like, guys, I love you and I get that you want to make a little money, but
sure. Before and after, that's fine.
Before and after. And now they've got a Patreon. So.
Well, yeah. Before and after. And then, yeah, but YouTube has this way of dropping in commercials right in the middle of a 3-minute video. And I'm like, it's a 3-minute video. You don't need a commercial in the middle of the video.
Yeah, imagine when they go an hour and it's just like it's like you feel like they just, and it's just,
annoying.
It's beyond annoying. Yeah, because unless you can set it up with actual pauses where you just stop talking and then cross your finger that YouTube will take the hint and drop the video where you've stopped.
Right.
So, all right. So that covers everything I think I wanted to cover. So it's Melissa's turn because we're going to talk about stuff Melissa has done. Because
I haven't done anything.
Oh no, except to hang out at Vasquez Rocks and do some exciting things because the Voyager documentary fulfilled their excursions a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you kept them company on a couple.
I did keep them company on a couple, or they allowed me to tag along on a couple. Yeah, it was great meeting some people in person that I had never met in person before, although it felt like we've been friends for years and years. Well, I guess we have, just not in person. But like Eve and Sue, it was great to meet them in person for the first time.
Which excursion was that?
Well, we met.
Did they do more than one?
Yeah. They were
there.
Oh, wow. Pretty much the whole week. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I guess the first big one that I joined with was Vasquez Rocks.
Speaking of the Gorn.
So fun. Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful park. And it feels like you're on a different planet when you're there. So
ta-da.
Yeah, no wonder they filmed there so much, but it's beautiful. And then climbing up to the top, I had never done that before this trip, but I felt it was safe because there's a lot of people there. But
Blue wants you to dish.
I'm not a good disher. Like as far as gossip, yeah, I'm not a good disher.
The Vasquez Rocks, who I know Sir Rock went, and I thought I read somewhere. Did Chase go? I thought I read somewhere originally that Chase was supposed to be part of that one.
She was not there. She was supposed to be a part of something else, but she couldn't come. But she FaceTimed with everyone.
Aw.
You know, Chase is always busy. So
yeah, exactly. It's like yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, Chase, do you want to do this? Oh, absolutely. And then it gets close, and then something comes up with pop culture, and it's just
yeah, it happens.
Because Chase is out fighting the good fight. So, and especially with everything that's been going on lately, can't blame her.
Yeah.
For that. So was any more? I'm just curious. Speaking
and
of
Garrett was there.
Garrett
Wong, yeah. And Kendra Munger, I think that's her name. She was in an episode of Discovery.
Oh, okay.
And then she was there too. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. Much hiking.
Is it a lot of hiking to get up there? Faith wants to know.
Oh, it's more you drive and then you kind of walk around the big rock formation, but you can climb it if you'd like. There's, and that's kind of a climb.
Like actual rock climbing or just hike, like walking?
No, you walk up.
Okay.
We had no equipment.
Right. No, I didn't think you did. I just didn't know if to get to the top if you needed equipment or if you could just walk.
No, and it wasn't as challenging as it looked.
Yeah, because it did actually. I did see your pictures.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's far more challenging than it.
Oh, I missed this one from. Wait. I gotta go back to Blue because I missed this one from him earlier. Shuttlepod Show is so worth it just to see old friends catch up and not only Trek but life. The story is about on-set fun and hearing the lads in Hollywood during the time. Also, yes, it is lots of fun and I highly recommend it. And just shout out to the Shuttlepod Show because. And now back to Melissa. Let's see. Faye says, so if I ever get over there again, I could costume in photos without dying.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to hike. You can just take pictures with the rocks if you want. And
there you go. Kind of like they did on they did a whole thing about that on an episode of The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. And there were people there that dressed up in costume in their Starfleet uniform.
Oh, they came on your trip? Oh, that's awesome.
To Vasquez, yeah.
Yep.
And they walked fine. They had no problem.
So which other did you do the observatory, Griffin Observatory?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did that one. And that same day was Bronson Cave. And
Bronson Caves is easy. We did Bronson Caves when I was out in LA last year.
Yeah. And there was something else there that day too. Oh, I think it was. No, I don't remember.
You've been so busy. It's almost like it was just this big whirlwind of.
Everything's a blur. I can't remember which day was which.
So I know what I've been out to LA a couple times in the last few years, and I've wanted to do Griffin Observatory, but because of COVID, it was closed.
Yeah.
Is the observatory still closed? Did you guys just walk the ground? It's open?
It's open, but you have to show proof of vaccination and wear a mask.
Oh, okay. So you guys did both in and out? Did you guys go in or was it?
We went in and we sat in the Leonard Nimoy Theater.
Oh, I didn't know they had that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And they showed how they did renovations for the observatory, and that was fun. And we were going to do the actual, the
planetarium.
Yeah. But there wasn't enough time. So, and then that same night was the looking at the stars with Tim Russ, which was really fun. He's got these awesome telescopes, and we looked at the moon, which was awesome, and then we saw some galaxies that he found for us. And
so I think you just answered Carl's question. You got a chance to view through the telescopes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did he sing? Did he perform, or was it just hanging out? Did he have his guitar?
That was on Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night. So Thursday was Japanese Garden, Starfleet Academy, and
okay.
Then CSUN, where 2009 film was shot.
Oh, right.
Partly there. And then later that night, Tim played with his band, he is phenomenal. He's so good.
He is good. He played the first year that I did STLV. He was part of the gala. he played. I think he was part of the gala because I remember I was working in the auditorium and I got to talk to his mom. Like I escorted his mom and his friends to their seats. You know what? The last time I saw Tim, this is my last memory of Tim, was when, do you remember it would have had to have been 2019? Was it 2019 that we went to lunch at Hash House? You, me, Aaron, and a bunch of people.
Oh. Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. And we're all sitting.
2019?
It was the one before COVID shut down.
Oh, yeah. Then,
yeah. Yeah, it was 2019. And you and Aaron had invited me to go to lunch. And we're all at Hash House A Go-Go, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And we were all sitting around that big table. And Tim came in to say hi to everybody. And I remember I was sitting next to you and I looked up because I was just like, well, who just showed up here? And it was Tim. And I mean, he doesn't know me from anybody. And I'm like, and he puts his hand on my shoulder. He's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, hi.
Yeah.
He's just I just thought in that moment, I thought, oh my God, this must be like one of the nicest people.
Mm-hmm. And so smart. Oh my gosh. Just hearing him talk about anything. He's so knowledgeable about everything. And
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
So you had a very busy week hanging out with the Voyager Doc crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fun. It was so much fun. It's great.
Next time I'm out
with people.
Yeah, which is like a lost art at this point.
Well, yeah. Well, for a reason.
Yeah, no, definitely valid reasons. Got to see Tim Russ and crew on the last cruise. They were terrific. Awesome. Yeah, like I said, when you work the auditorium, you don't really get to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Like when you work for creation, you're working the auditorium because you're running around making sure that nobody's sitting in the wrong seat and everything. Mm-hmm. So I remember Bob Picardo singing, but that's all. Like I mean, yeah, I don't remember much. I don't remember much from my first year. I made some really good friends in 2017. Mm-hmm. But it was such a whirlwind.
Yeah.
My first STLV.
Yeah.
So, but I do remember that Tim played. I don't know who I mentioned earlier when you were in the green room about. It looks like Bob Picardo is going to be part of the gala this year, I think.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, he's That's amazing. Great. He's got a beautiful voice.
He does have a beautiful voice. Yeah.
So that will be fun. So what else is going on Trek related? You guys have what? 2 live? You guys do what? 2 live shows a week now? The Main Viewer and Star Trek and Shell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2 live shows. And then of course, the 7th Rule, which has just launched the remastering of the podcast, of audio of the podcast, all episodes. So on all major places that play podcasts. So that's pretty exciting.
Definitely have to go check that out.
Yeah.
One of the Scotts was redoing that, right? Scott
Jensen was remastering all episodes, and then they launched today.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah. All right, hold on. Faith wants to know, is Trek and Shell every Friday?
Mm-hmm. Every Friday at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. No, 5 p.m.
5 for you, 8 for me.
Eastern. 5 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Pacific. 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know where I am. I don't know what day it is.
I know. If I hadn't reminded you on Saturday, you might have forgotten that tonight was Monday.
Yeah. And yesterday was Sunday, and I was, Today's Monday.
Yeah. Yes, today is Monday of a short week for those people that have like those regular 9 to 5 kind of jobs.
Yeah.
You know, the whole Memorial Day thing. I didn't do anything today. I hung out with my new cat. I hung out with General Zod.
Yeah,
today.
I worked. So, if I'm not doing.
Yeah. And Linda, just to clarify, once everybody know, that means 7 Central.
Yeah, sorry, Linda. Yeah.
Yeah, Star Trek and Chill is exactly what it sounds like. It's just hanging out, talking about Trek and chilling out. I've watched it a few times. I just, I'm terrible, and YouTube doesn't always remind you when stuff happens, or I miss the reminders. And then I'll look at my phone and I'll be like, Star Trek and Chill, and I'll be like, yeah, that was an hour ago. Thanks a lot. But you guys are so much fun to watch live, and I love being in anywhere with Mohammed, because Mohammed and I just like to correct people on Enterprise stuff. So Mohammed's my Enterprise buddy.
Well, I love Enterprise too, but I've only watched it one time through. So, and things get muddled in here. Yeah, no,
I hear you. All right, Carl's got a question. Oh, wrong one. Somebody just... Okay. So, Melissa, are things going well for your plans for STLV?
Yes, I will be there.
And will you be on the next cruise?
Fingers crossed. I'm going to try like the Dickens to get there.
Yeah, that's where I am right now too. Cross my fingers and try and figure something out. Maybe stow away in somebody's suitcase at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since it's leaving out of LA,
that's going to be easier.
That makes everything so much easier than
Thank you, Heather. Anybody that loves Enterprise is absolutely welcome. Not that everybody isn't welcome here, but you're extra special welcome here if you're an Enterprise fan.
Enterprise is great.
Working on my way through currently to support my background knowledge. Okay, that is totally fair. That is totally fair. It's interesting. Again, this is kind of a spoiler because Connor said this. I think Connor said this. They were talking about how Enterprise has had this resurgence, and people coming up saying to them at conventions like, "Yay, Linda! See, look at all the Enterprise love that's coming through here. See, this is why the Shuttle Pod show. It's an amazing show." But Connor's just surprised about the people that'll come up to them at conventions and be like, "Oh yeah, I just started rewatching it. You guys are great," or "I just caught it for the first time. Like I just watched it." Yeah, and their question always is, "Well, where were you the first time around?" Like,
Yeah, for me personally, I was not watching Star Trek at that time.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair.
I was new to New York City and trying to work my way into the business, and
well, if you were
at the same time that it was on, so I never watched it the first go around.
I did. I actually watched it the first go around, and then I don't do I didn't rewatch a lot of stuff unless it happened to be reruns. Like I watched TNG because TNG would be in reruns or whatever. But I've watched every Star Trek series when it came out. But then in 2016, after hanging out with Connor and Dominic for a weekend and singing karaoke with them, I'm like, you know what? I need to rewatch their show. And that's when I did my first rewatch, was back in 2016. And I just fell in love. First thing I did was, the first time I heard the theme again, I forgot how much I love this song. I forgot how well it fits the show. And I just fell in love with the show all over again, and it just became my favorite from there. Like I think before that, if you had asked me if I had a favorite Star Trek, I probably would have just leaned towards TOS just as a default, because it's what brought me in. Like I watched the first Star Trek I ever saw were the reruns of the original series. I am not old enough to have seen it when it first came out. Just saying. But it is the first Star Trek I ever watched. So probably if you'd asked me before 2016, I would have just by default said TOS. But then watching Enterprise, I literally fell in love with Enterprise. That's why, and part of it, I think, was that it was the underdog, and I've always liked the underdog. So that was part of it. But no, I truly do love the show. It's one of I don't skip it. We had a debate last week with one of my other listeners, but yes, I don't skip it either. John, no worries. So glad that you're here. And I get it, you're Canadian, so hockey playoffs is absolutely a 100% legit reason for not being here. Yeah. So Dominic gave you an appreciation for Malcolm Reed. That's awesome. I adore Dominic and I adore Malcolm. I adore them both so much. Dominic is just, I don't know, he's a sweetie. I love the first time, up until the Zindi. The Zindi, a lot of people did not like the Zindi. That they paralleled current events at the time, which were traumatic for me. I can see why. There you go. See? Yep, there you go. That's exactly, that was their answer to 9/11. Because the show aired, the first episode aired only a couple weeks after September 11th. So.
Yeah, I was in New York City.
I lived in Massachusetts. I can't even imagine.
9/11. Yeah.
Oh my God. You were in the city when it happened?
Well, no, because I lived up across the. New York's funny, but I lived on the border of Yonkers and the Bronx, and I had just finished filming my first short film. It was a musical. The day before the towers fell, and I was woken up by my best friend who lived in Colorado, and she said, "Are you safe? Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Why? What's going on?" But I worked in.
But you were safe, like the Bronx and Yonkers. Yeah, no. See, I know New York geography, like, yeah. But no, I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, I lived in Massachusetts, but I had a friend that lived in Staten Island, which I knew, like, he was safe. I had a friend that worked in New York City. Well, he traveled for work. He lived in New Jersey, but he traveled for work. So that's what I spent the day doing. I called my friend that lived on Staten Island. I called my friend that worked, and it turns out that my friend that sometimes was supposed to be in New York that day and wasn't. My friend, one of my really good friends, his sister actually worked in the World Trade Center, but she was on vacation that week.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends that had close calls. I don't even know how grateful to be. I had a lot of friends that coulda, woulda, and weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's everything shut down right after that. But she was the first one who was able to get through, because my family wasn't able to get through.
Oh, wow.
On the phone lines.
Right.
And it's crazy. And I worked at did this work study program at this dance studio, to get almost free dance classes.
Oh, wow.
Because
right.
But we had these people. We had security because it was at nighttime, and they were, moonlighting NYPD officers, and I think every single one of them worked cleanup for.
Oh my gosh.
The trade centers. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just Reed. Speaking of Enterprise, Reed the cat is down here, and I want to make sure he doesn't knock the green screen over. Okay, so let's see. Never watched TOS all the way through. Oh, well, that's great. Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to have to start rewatching TOS, because there's going to be a lot between Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. Carl says Enterprise is a great show. Don't watch the last episode; it sucked. But look, it's his second favorite after DS9, Melissa. Ow, cat, ow. I love you. Oh my God, Reed just stabbed me in the leg. I'm sorry. It's hard to be like, yeah, let me keep talking when his claw is literally in my leg. Actually, I don't agree. I mean, as a joke, yeah, but you don't have to like the theme. You actually don't have to like the theme. I mean, if you want me to like you better, yeah.
I'm liking this.
I like this. Any reason to watch any Trek is a good one. Absolutely. Heather, I don't know if you've heard of or have watched the Shuttle Pod show, which is Connor and Dominic, their podcast. The link is in my YouTube description. So in the description for this show, the link is in there. But in the first part of the interview they did with, now that I'm blanking on his name, oh my God, Rick Berman. There we go. They actually, I still don't like it. But there's actually an explanation for it. So
Yeah,
you'll at least understand where it came from. It's probably not going to change the fact that it's a terrible episode, but it will give you an explanation of why they did what they did. So,
well, there's
a reason behind it.
I can get that there's probably a reason behind it, but I can't say that it'll be a good reason.
No, it actually was. It was actually an interesting reason.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. So, Dom is now a Star Trek fan. He's started knowing things about Trek, and it's awesome seeing him fall in like the show. Yeah, he has admitted that he's actually turning into a Star Trek fan. No, the reasoning is actually valid because nobody expected the show to end after 4 seasons. And they actually had a plan for where the show was going to end when they all expected it to run for 7 seasons. Mm-hmm. So they're like, okay, so our final episode is going to be about the creation of the Federation. Mm-hmm. And then they found out very quickly, like right before the end of 4, that they weren't coming back. And they still wanted to deal with creating the Federation. So they had to, like, instead of getting 2 years to kind of like have 2 years worth of shows that led up to it, they had a couple of episodes to figure out how to shoehorn it in, is basically what it came down to. So it doesn't take the sting out of it, but it, like, at least it's like, okay, well, it wasn't just like, let's do this stupid thing. Like, they were trying to figure out a way to still end it the way they wanted to, which was with the creation of the Federation. And that's the only thing they could think of.
Yeah. I don't know if yeah.
I mean, you can watch it. Rick explains it better than I did.
But I get that. Yeah.
I don't blame you for that. Yeah. I mean, you're very welcome. Please do. It's amazing and wonderful. And again, totally unbiased opinion. Totally unbiased. It was really good. Yes. I liked the one with, ooh. Okay. What was the what problem did you have with Trip? Because I will defend Trip, unless, I will defend Trip. But, I mean, he did have issues. He did do things that I was not proud of. I can't watch Progenitor because I start yelling at the TV screen again.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a way. Oh, Faith Kim, Unforgivable. I think she's meant the killing of Trip.
Yeah, Faith does not like the fact that they had
same with Heather.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you meant that the way they killed him. Okay, exactly. Gotcha. No, because I had problems with Trip. I love Trip. I think Trip is great. Not as great as Malcolm, but I do love Trip. But no, Trip did things. Trip, and I said this to Connor in an interview I did with Connor when I was audio only, that maybe I'll throw up here one day.
Don't throw
where I was like, that I would put up in YouTube one day, where I was like, did anybody ever tell you that Trip was basically the reason for the Prime Directive? Because Trip just could not stop interfering.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, Trip, you're basically, and Connor goes, what's the Prime Directive? We can agree to disagree. Absolutely. The more people that like Trip better than Malcolm just means less people have to compete with, because See, and I am wearing my 20th anniversary shirt because Star Trek.com actually recognized that 2021 was the 20th anniversary. So, yeah. And yeah, Trip is not dead. Not if you read the novels.
Well, and I don't know. It
was cheap, but at the time, again, this was actually part of the Shuttle Pod show, and Connor said this on multiple occasions. When he got that script, he's like, "Are we done?" As in, like, is the show done? And Rick's like, yeah, show's done. Trip's like, okay. He's like, yeah, then Trip can be dead. He just didn't want Trip to die and then have the show go on without him.
Well, yeah. I mean, we want to work.
Yeah, exactly. We want to work. But Connor will say, I mean, not that if somebody turned around and said, okay, listen, we've decided that we like the Section 31 idea that people have written about, so we are going to bring Chip back. It's not like he'd say no, but he has said as an actor to have a character that had that beginning, middle, and end, like you knew where he ended up.
Yeah.
He liked that arc, that kind of closure. But yeah, it's not like he would turn it down if they said, you know what, we've decided to bring you back to life.
Yeah, I think they're personally, and I get what you're saying about them having to wrap up and wanting to explore the birth of Federation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's another way they could have gone about it, and I don't think they
like
needed,
I said.
I mean, I don't think they needed to bring on the TNG people to do that or tell that story.
I agree. And I think, again, if you watch the episode, I think Rick, Lucette, it's like, he's not saying that it wasn't a bad episode. It was a bad episode, and he's not, but at least it's a very teeny tiny, very small consolation to know that where the logic behind it came from, to kind of get like, okay, I get you did it wrong, but I get what you're saying. I get why you did it. You just did it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I'm saying.
They did it wrong.
They absolutely did it wrong, but at least that there were, but like I said, at least, it was definitely a bad idea. It was absolutely like the worst idea. And it pissed Scott Bakula off.
Well, yeah, because it invalidates everything that they had done up to that point.
Yep. Yeah, because people are running around going, does that invalidate the whole thing? Like the whole thing was just a holodeck program, which no, it was not. Bring them back in Section 31.
But it just invalidates every actor on that show's work up to that point. Anybody who had written anything,
right?
It just said, oh, now we need TNG to save the ending.
Yeah,
which you didn't, because there was nothing that needed saving. It was a good show. People did good work, and you don't need somebody else to come in and say,
yeah, making it a dream guts the story.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, DS9 references.
Woo!
Let's see, same as with Tom McRae. When Tom Riker steals the Defiant, another bad idea could have been someone else. I forgot about that.
I do like that episode, but yeah, it could have been someone else. I just, and don't get me wrong, I love TNG, but I don't need them in every aspect of Trek.
Right.
To make it good Trek for me, or make it a valid story for me. Right.
DS9, we did get Chief O'Brien, but we didn't get to know him that well in TNG. So that was nice to see Chief O'Brien. And he built himself a life very separate. It's not like he ran around saying, well, when we were on the Enterprise, because he didn't, because this was all about building him as a character with a separate life. Exactly. And the same thing with Worf. Worf became more.
He made sense in the story.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and again, it wasn't like every other word out of their mouth was, well, back when I was on the Enterprise. They made it their lives very separate. Like, this is just another stage of it. And again, it's very organic. You don't necessarily stay on the same starship your entire career. You're going to move around.
Right. Well, and then we got to see who O'Brien was on
Deep Space
Nine, and see who Worf was on Deep Space Nine. He was,
he's very complex.
I feel like both of those characters were fleshed out even more on Deep Space Nine.
And I mean, his relationship with Jadzia was amazing.
It was.
It was one of my favorites. It was, and then watching him interact with Nicole when she came in as Ezri was also, I mean, that was very complex how they built those stories, because it's like, how do you do, I mean, nobody, how do you deal with that? It's like your wife, but not your wife, but sort of, like, yeah. So it was really well done.
Yeah.
It was really well done. And they both did, Dorn and Nicole both did an incredible job with it. So
yeah, they did.
I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't need it. I didn't need him back.
Oh, there you go.
Kira had Odo.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah, I mean, I guess I remember watching that episode of TNG where we got Tom Riker, and I remember, when it looked like he might die, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. We had him, and now they're going to kill him, and then they didn't kill him off, and I'm like, oh wow, this is really interesting that now we're going to have like his twin running around, but then they really didn't do too much with him, so it's kind of like, I mean, they're books. He's in the books. He's in one of the book. I've read like maybe 3 or 4 TNG books, and he's in one of them. I like this. You loved and hated the Worf Ezri storyline.
Yeah. There was no good answer for that for them. There was no talk about awkward.
Yeah, which was exactly what it needed to be. So that was like I said, I thought that was really well written. Yeah. That he avoided her and then tried to get back with her, and then but it's like, nope, that doesn't work. That would have been a cheat. To just let Ezri end up with Worf would have been a cheat.
Well, yeah, and they didn't have the same chemistry as Jadzia and Worf.
Exactly. Had. Because Ezri is different.
Right, they're different people.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I need all the things. I'm still dying to know where I ended up.
Well, did he die? Because technically he linked with Odo after he was infected with the disease that infected the Great Link. So if Laws shapeshifted as much as he, claimed, then he was infected with that disease.
Didn't they cure that disease though at the end, right?
Yeah, but Laws wasn't part of that.
Okay.
So he probably died, right?
That's funny. I love that. I love that Star Trek can give you one character in one episode.
Yeah.
And you fall in love with them to the point where I worry what happened to them. I love that about it. I love that. But that's what makes it so amazing. Like the whole Section 31 thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, barely part of anything, and we've only seen like characters from it, but everybody's dying. Until Discovery, it was pretty minimal. But it was they made it so interesting that everybody wants more.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of the beauty of Section 31 is that it is this covert organization that you don't know much about, but you're getting, little hints about here and there.
Yeah.
But that's the way they're supposed to operate. You're not really supposed to know about Section 31.
So now we got the Michelle Yao show, and it's like, okay, so it's supposed to be covert, and now what are we gonna? Which is funny because it's like it's supposed to be covert, but they all have special badges. They all have those badges that like, oh, hey, look, this is what. But if you see somebody wearing this badge, guess what? Mm-hmm. I of course bought one of those because I am a huge fan of Section 31. Obviously, the Enterprise years with Eric Pierpoint, because Harris was so great.
Yeah,
like the shadowy. The episodes that they did. That was the ones where they kidnapped Phlox. It was Augments and not Infection, Afflicted. Those were some really great episodes. With Section 31, and Malcolm had to like betray like the entire crew. It was so good. And then the end where Malcolm's like, okay, I'm done. And Harris is like, no, you're not. Harris is like, no, we're going to suck you back in. Don't get comfortable. Yes, absolutely. More Georgiou. I was so mad when she left. She was probably my favorite Discovery. She is, without a doubt, my favorite Discovery character.
Yeah.
So we have covered like all of Star Trek, I think. I don't think we've not talked about any. I think we've hit all of them. We did Strange New Worlds. We talked about the originals because we've done DS9.
Voyager though.
Well, yeah, but we did talk about Tim Russ. We did talk about Tim Russ.
talk about the Voyager doc too.
And we did talk about the Voyager doc. People have been talking about DS9.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about TNG. Talked about TOS. Mm-hmm. Strange New Worlds. Discovery.
Mm-hmm. Not Picard.
People mentioned Lower Decks. So yeah, I think we're missing Picard and we're missing Prodigy.
I love that show.
That is so good. I can't wait for it to come back. It really is a show for kids that still like adult fans can watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
talk about they have so many of the elements that I love and great storytelling, and whether it's made for adults or kids, if it's a good story, then it's worth watching. So
yeah, it's like a Disney movie because then they do little things like the Disney movies do with like little hints, like the little Horgon in the Ferengis.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's like the adults are like a Horgon. Ferengis are mean, and look, there's a Horgon.
Yeah, no. See, this is my only qualm though, is that Ferengis have evolved a lot more than.
Yes, but wasn't this Ferengi also a Delta Quadrant Ferengi? She wasn't.
True. This is
because I've had
this is why I'm giving it a pass because.
Yep. Because I had this conversation with Faith when we were talking about the Voyager Ferengis, because the Voyager Ferengis weren't nice either.
Right.
And it's because Faith agrees with you.
Yes, but I don't want this stereotype that all Ferengi are mean to continue, because they're not.
No, they're not. But let's remember that
you can't base your opinions on an entire species just based on one person.
And hopefully, let's put it this way: they kicked off with knocking down "Don't Make Assumptions," because when everybody saw Rock,
Mm-hmm.
how many out there expected Rock to be female when you saw them before the translator kicked in? But that's the thing. She opened her mouth.
Or a child.
Yeah, exactly. Or a child. So they're already starting out with teaching kids about don't make assumptions. Mm-hmm. So hopefully one of the other lessons is don't judge an entire race based on one Ferengi, because they are coming back to the Alpha Quadrant and the Protostar. So hopefully they'll run into the more evolved Ferengis once they get there, and maybe there'll be a lesson.
Grand Nagus Rom. How
exactly.
Awesome would that be?
That would be great if they could run into Rom and Lita.
Yeah.
And his lovely wife Lita.
Mm-hmm. It would have been cool if it was Pell. I loved Pell. She was awesome. Mover and a shaker. She was like Moogie.
Moogie. Okay, and we didn't talk about Picard. So, did you enjoy Picard this season?
I was very excited with the first 2 episodes, and then it was all right.
Yeah. It was all right. Oh, Linda likes Pell too.
Yes.
I agree with Carl. Miss Georgiou. Oh God, the mother of all Klingons. I know.
She was fantastic. I would love to see Laurel again.
That
would be awesome.
And Mary Chieffo is an incredible human being.
Yes,
so
she is.
Would love to see her come back. Maybe with a girlfriend this time. Who knows? Klingons.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. And one of the Enterprise novels I read, I think was it The Doctor? One of the Enterprise novels I read, the doctor that Phlox worked with in where he got kidnapped and they were working on the cure for the virus.
Mm-hmm.
That doctor had a husband. Like they were like the book, like the Enterprise. I don't know about any of the other novels, but the Enterprise books actually introduced gay Klingons, which I thought was interesting. Let's see what's Faith got to say about Pell. Pell. cut through. That's a good way to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good point. Because she would have been an outcast on Ferenginar. She wouldn't have been able to go back. Not really. Unless she had family, but it didn't seem like she did.
I didn't like the fact that they might have killed off Q in Picard. I did have a problem with Q dying. Or possibly dying.
Well, without any real explanation as to why.
Yeah, just I'm sick and I'm not immortal like I thought I was. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was a little. I loved the Crusher. I loved Will Wheaton coming in at the very end. I thought that was good. I thought that was sweet. Yes, Faith, we've had this conversation. Q is still alive. Q and Trip are off somewhere hanging out. Well, still very much alive.
Yes, but Q's death could just have been a transitioning into a different type of being.
State of being, that's true. I mean, they did do that whole Voyager thing with the Q that wanted to die, and see, as much as I don't like Voyager, I do remember some of the episodes. Fixing the timeline would have fixed Q. That would have been interesting. Yes, they are doing a full cast reunion.
Well,
well, I think Will, I'm not sure about Will, because, I mean, I think they kind of answered that he's,
a traveler.
He's a traveler, so unless something else happens with the timeline. But then again, there's that big wormhole-y thing that the Borg are guarding, so maybe that's an anomaly that they have to come fix. I don't know. But I love John Delancey, so I wouldn't mind seeing him again.
Yeah, I actually really liked everything that he did in season 2. He was the person that I enjoyed watching the most, I think. But and I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Picard season 2.
Yeah, I mean, I called a couple of things. Like, I knew 7 of 9 was going to end up having to go back to being a Borg. I just didn't expect it to happen the way that it did, but I thought I was interested to see how that played out. I had a feeling that Christos was going to end up staying.
Yeah, that was kind of obvious.
Yeah.
To me. He was kind of obvious.
He was either staying or she was coming with him. It was going to be one or the other. Like, they weren't going to split them up. So him staying.
Yeah, and there's no way that she could have gone with him, because all of her work with her clinic and all of that stuff would have been moot. And but I don't like that they essentially killed him off. They killed him off.
Yeah, there you go. Faith, screaming on not being into when he was. I'm assuming we're talking about Will Wheaton, and you can't call Will evil because there's this huge thing called an NDA. And I remember, I remember going to a Picard panel. Must have been 2019, and it was Jonathan Frakes and Jerry Ryan and Jonathan Delarco, and they basically got up on stage and they were like, "Listen, we'll tell you what we can tell you, but we all signed NDAs, so we can only go so far."
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the whole Wesley Crusher thing was meant to be a surprise. So Facebook's annoying, so Carl switched. No worries. That just means I get views on Facebook, and now I've got you as a viewer on YouTube. So I have no problems with that. Blue is saying, is one of the more powerful beings in all of Trek now. I love that about Picard. I can see. Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting that they have made him, a pretty powerful being, a guardian of time. I think he could easily have a cameo on Lower Decks. That's entirely possible. If I was ever on Trek, you would basically have to lock me in a closet until it aired. Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. I mean, even if I didn't have this podcast, I mean, I am a big mouth. So, yeah, it's very hard for me to keep. It's very hard to keep a secret. And yes, Seven and Raffi were great.
I love them together.
Yeah, exactly. What was it? Do you in 2024 want to get a room? I thought that was a really great line. Because Seven was just so excited. That whole thing with them taking the picture, pretending to take the photo on the top of the...
Oh.
That was cute. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And that's when like TMZ or somebody overhears you and then blasts it out all over the internet.
No secrets anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the curse of being in like a Marvel movie. Like, it's so funny to watch Marvel actors do interviews before their movies come out. Because it's like
you have to tiptoe around like everything. Yep.
It's like we know they're watching, so we can't say anything. Yeah, it was fun. I just watched Paul Bettany was on Colbert because he was doing a series on Netflix. And Colbert's like, Are you gonna be in Doctor Strange? And he's like, he wasn't. But he's like, I can't say. He's like, I'm not gonna say.
Oh, Faith. Or you would just know because I have a face.
That too. Oh my God, you guys have seen me. This is why I don't do research and stuff while I'm on camera, because you guys don't want to see like my intense, like, where the fuck is it face? Because everything is on my face. Absolutely everything is on my face.
I want to see it because that's drama.
Yeah. That's the dramatic. I love that some of them talk anyway and don't even yes, and that's what every interviewer hopes for, that little slip where they don't even realize that they said something that they're not supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just goes everywhere. Okay, let's see. Blue is upset. The creators of Picard have said Seven won't captain the Stargazer next season. That upsets me. Just because somebody said that won't happen doesn't mean it won't happen. Classic misdirection. It could still happen. It could happen. You know what? It could just happen in the last episode. Like, that's how she could, like, leave. That's how they could close the episode, is her leaving on the Stargazer. We don't know. You don't know until you see it.
Who knows? Who knows?
Exactly. Don't believe anything Paramount actually tells you. Don't believe any of the pre-press shit. Just wait and see what happens. Because this is. I mean, again, this is totally. But this is where I learned this, and this is totally dating me. But the TV show ER, for anybody, which Connor was actually in an episode of. Connor and Eric Pierpoint were in the same episode of ER, but Connor was in the very beginning delivering somebody on a gurney, and Eric was in the emergency room. So, you know, their paths never cross. I just love those little coincidences. But anyway, that's where George Clooney really got his big break. I mean, he had been in a bunch of other stuff, but ER is what really put him on the map. So he leaves, and his character was in love with Carol, Juliana Margulies' character on the show. And Doug Ross leaves. George picks up. He goes, Doug Ross is gone, and he leaves a very pregnant Carol behind. And Carol is on ER, and she has twins and all this other stuff. She actually she starts to fall in love with Gorgon Visick, who was also on that show for a while. And then everybody knew that Juliana Margulies had decided to leave. And everybody's going, well, if she's leaving, is George Clooney going to be in it? Is he going to be in it when she leaves? And everybody was, no, George is big. He's off doing his own thing. George isn't in it. He's not coming back. She's just leaving the show. And then they do this whole big thing where Carol realizes that she loves Doug and she needs to be back with him. And they do this whole thing to this gorgeous Don Henley song. And she's running through the airport and she's on a plane to Seattle. And the last scene of the show is her going to a house, knocking on the door. Nobody answers. There's somebody down on the dock. And she runs down to the dock. And his back is to the camera. And when he turns around, it's frickin' George Clooney. Of course, he came back for one scene to be, because everybody loved the relationship. So he did right by the show and he came back. So in that moment, when the show was saying George isn't coming back and then he was back, I don't believe anything anybody says until I see it. That's the moral of that story. Let's see. I will ask, why did they tease TNG cast for season 3 so early? That seems strange on timing.
Well, I think more for hype reasons.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Linda. I would agree that there was a leak. I think they did it to hype it. I think they want the interest, because I think, you know, a lot of people, I don't think were overly thrilled with this season. So I think they want to make sure that people are interested in next season. You know?
Yeah.
I think they want to get on the nostalgia train, and they want to hype it up, and you know, this season
it feels like a crutch personally.
It's the last season.
Yeah, but yeah.
It's the last season, so I think they wanted to make a big deal and do a big reunion thing. And I mean, honestly, for all we know, it's not even going to be an entire season's worth of a reunion. Could be like 3 episodes. You don't know. Like I said, you don't know until you see it. Like we know it's a big reunion. We know everybody's coming back. We're going to finally get an answer about Dr. Crusher and why he's not with her. Which I know a lot of people who ship that relationship, want to know.
I shipped that a long time ago, but I'm kind of over it now. I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me,
sell it for me.
See, that's the thing.
They're going to have to sell it for me, because I'm just not going to automatically like something because, it's a nostalgic reunion.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I just wasn't that big. I mean, I just wasn't that big on the Beverly Picard thing. I always wanted my Mzadis together. I got my Mzadis. So, okay.
And I was liking what they were doing, or where they were heading, what they hinted at in season 2 with Picard and I just had a brain fart. The Romulan woman.
Oh, yeah.
I was liking where they were going with that.
Right.
But they only hinted at it, and they didn't really flesh it out.
All right, Faith, I have to ask you this. Are you saying this because you know that I'm going to go tell Randy that you said it? Because this is for Randy and Randy Frank and Nikki Repass and their love of Sub Rosa. How do you beat out a candle? The Sub Rosa episode of TNG where Beverly was having an affair with a ghost from a candle. That's not ringing any bells, Melissa?
Oh, sorry. I was just reading. I was reading and I wasn't listening. Ask the question again.
Have you seen the episode of TNG called Sub Rosa where Beverly has an affair with a ghost candle?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Faith mentioned it, and that is Randy, Frank, and Nikki Repass's favorite episode. So anytime somebody can bring up the ghost candle.
Oh my god.
Faith makes the innocent face.
Omarosa?
Not Omarosa. Sub Rosa. Sub, SUB space ROSA. Sub Rosa. But very funny. Ha ha. And I agree with Blue. There better be a good reason for the reunion, not just ratings and not just getting people to watch.
Exactly. That's the fan service that I'm talking about. I don't need that. Tell me a good story.
Yeah, exactly. So there better be a good story behind it. Sub Rosa.
Shakar, yes.
Randy does an amazing Ronin. He was going to do it. Yeah. Oh my God. You've never seen him cosplay as Ronin?
Yes. But with the hair.
With the hair and the Beverly. Wait. Hold on, because it's not, hold on. You guys can actually watch my research face, because I'm actually, here we go. Randy made all of these for the Lambda Quadrant StreamYard, which is what I'm using.
Rosa, they have good ice cream. Unlimited. And with toppings.
The best toppings, though, are Trip Tucker sprinkles. Let's not forget that the best toppings are Trip. It will be because of... It wouldn't be Data. Faith is talking about Data. I think the only way they're going to get a Data is going to be if they reactivate B4, because B4 was in the first season. Maris, thank you.
Maris. I was
Which is
hoping
what,
that too, Carl.
yeah, which is what Guinan was hinting at, I think.
And they kind of left that ending open with them, where they could be together, but then not. But it was so vague.
But before is all that's left of Data. Let's remember at the end of Nemesis, he was starting to sing that song. Never seen the sun shining so bright. So yeah, Data's gone. I mean, Data's gone.
Yeah, well, they made that pretty clear.
They made that pretty clear. Yeah, exactly. But like I said, before is in pieces in Girardi's lab. So if you're going to get Data, it's going to be because they put before back together. My friend just met Brent Spiner and LeVar. Oh, well, that's very cool. I have met both of them. I got LeVar's autograph for a friend. I guess it was 2019, and he liked my nail polish because it was Enterprise colors. It was alternating gold, blue, and red. And he said he liked my nails. And Brent, I met at New York. It's called Big Apple Comic-Con. It's this tiny little Comic-Con, and I met Brent there. So let's see. What does Heather say? I don't think any of the androids will be back. It's going to be Sung. Which Sung, though? Oh, I guess. Oh, right, his son.
Any.
No, I guess Data's son Nunyan Sung, often wrong's actual biological son that Brent played in the first season. If they are all coming back, but they can't have Data, they may as well tell a good story to do it and not just cameo everyone for the fan service points. I guess we're gonna find out. Eventually. It's are they filming it now or are they done?
It's done.
It's done. That's what I thought.
They're done filming it.
They're done filming it.
So nothing we say will make a difference.
That's right. Eric. Was it Eric? Yeah, I think it. No. Wait, Eric? Arik Sung was the one from Enterprise. I don't remember the name of Data's creator's biological son. Arik Sung, I'm pretty sure Eric was the one that was in Enterprise. Adam was the one in this one. Wasn't Adam Sung? Adam Sung was the one in Picard. In the first season of Picard, Brent Spiner played the son of Nunyan Sung, who created Data. Data's creator actually had a biological son who had a name that was not Adam, and it wasn't Eric, because Eric was the name of their ancestor from Enterprise that was in the Augment episodes. That was freaking awesome. I would love to see that mentioned in Strange New Worlds somehow. Because that was a whole Augment thing. He broke out of prison, or he stole a bunch of augment embryos and brought them back to life. It was a 3-episode arc.
Oh, Heather
in Enterprise Force.
I think Adam was in Picard too. That's probably who he will be in season 3.
Oh no! Adam was in this season of Picard, which took place in 2024.
Well, whoever was in the first season of Picard
was not Adam. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but whatever Sung that was could be in season 3, because he would theoretically still be alive.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was I thought that was great. Right, but what I'm saying is we still haven't figured out what that guy's name is from the first season of Picard. Because it's not Eric and it's not Adam.
Well, let's find out.
Let's find out. All right.
This is my search face.
All right. There's Melissa's search face. See, you're at least looking down. I'm like, the way my camera and everything's set up, for me to search on the internet, I'd still be looking at the camera.
Oh. Scrolling.
Faith. Evil Sung number 57. Yeah, Yeah, you know what's funny is after all this is done, Noonien Song. Wait, was that?
It just says data.
It doesn't have the. Look on Memory Alpha. Because now we need to know.
Why would it just say data? Oh, maybe let's see.
Creators on Twitter hinted the Brent will play. Oh, I hope they didn't, because I mean we've got enough new characters. Let him just play somebody he's already played.
Right.
They didn't have
Dr. Alton Inigo soon.
There we go. That's the guy from the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alto. So it was another Alton.
Altan.
Okay.
Alton Inigo soon. Like Indigo Montoya. You kill my father.
My father, not prepared to die. Oh my God. Man, people still ask Mandy Patinkin about that. I love that because I love Princess Bride. And of course, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. Yeah, there we go. So it was another A. And now we all know that was the song from the first season that could conceivably be in the third season.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how everybody called Data's creator often wrong sung. But now, out of all the songs that we've seen, he seems like the most decent one out of all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because now we know that Adam had something to do with Khan.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Alton,
he was a jerkwad.
And he was a jerkwad. And he tried to kill Picard. And Renee.
Well,
And Eric... Yep, and Eric tried to resurrect all the augments.
Yeah. So. Yeah, agreed. Domestic.
This one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. They are never boring. Mm-hmm. The characters from TNG will just inspire some interesting stories. I like the second season of Picard, even though it lacked the action of season 1. But when you don't have action, you need good storytelling, and sometimes the storytelling got really bogged down.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little tired. It's like I got a little tired of the flashbacks with his mom. I just thought that they drew that out.
Yeah, there's
been debate.
I'm going to be a little controversial.
Don't be controversial.
I'm going to be a little controversial. Moving into this new phase of season 3, I'm kind of wondering what the points of season 1 and 2 were.
It's interesting.
Because how did anyone advance in the universe or learn, or what was new that any of the characters got out of the universe, except for Picard realizing that the whole world isn't his fault, or the whole universe isn't his fault, all the bad stuff.
And he got a new body.
But besides that, what was the point?
Bunny corn pizza. Bunny corn pizza.
Okay. I mean, am I wrong? I please tell me.
No, you make a really good point.
Tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm happy to be enlightened by anything that I've missed, but I just don't.
All right. Well, Blue thinks it's an ending for Picard to heal his own personal traumas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got that part.
Oh, who's over there?
I got that part. Oh, hey.
Hey, Johnny. Wow, you're making this whole, like, we're still on the air thing worth it. It's been a while. Thanks for joining us. I mean, we are coming up on hour 2 of this discussion, which is awesome. Yeah. This is a great way to end the season. Like, how could I follow this? I couldn't. So, ta-da! No, I see. I do. I absolutely see your point. they're very standalone, and they're very just kind of.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of season 1, I was expecting to come into season 2 with, some exploration of these androids that were supposedly supposed to have been taken over, but then they did a whole switch and went back in time, and I get that Picard is trying to resolve his demons, and maybe that's the point of the whole show, is to, hey, and maybe that is the point of the whole show, is to resolve Picard's.
Hi, Jay. Which series? Because we've been talking about like 10 of them. Seriously, what series? Which series?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're talking specifically about Picard,
true.
Which is harder to see. Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to see if season 3 like answers that question for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like, I mean, they completely retconned the Borg. I mean, the Borg are now buddies.
Well, the thing is with that, there has to be different factions of Borg then, because that would nullify pretty much
everything.
Most storylines throughout Star Trek history, because there would have been no Locutus. There would be no death for Jennifer Sisko because of Locutus. There would be no Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. You're absolutely. I mean, there was even an Enterprise episode, so there would have been no regeneration. Yeah, regeneration episode.
Right. But anything that they've battled the Borg in.
Yeah, they would have wiped it. Yeah, they just wiped out in the entire First Contact movie.
Well, yeah. A whole bunch of storylines that couldn't have happened. So exactly. There's got to be different hives.
Oh.
Different hives of Borg. So they couldn't all be collective. Right?
Yeah, but they'd have to end up defining that then, because I don't think they've ever defined it, because when the Borg Queen showed up at the end of Picard, she said, we want to join the Federation or have a whatever, like a temporary, not faction B from the Delta Quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 queens fight it out. There you go. That would be interesting. Jay, we're so glad that you joined us. You've never heard of Star Trek Picard. It is in its it just wrapped its second season a couple weeks ago on Paramount Plus. And if you're a TNG fan, it's definitely worth a watch.
Short track. Yes.
All right, we can talk about short treks real quick.
No, that could be a short trek.
Oh, a short trek. 2 Borg queens fighting it out. Gotcha. But that I think we need to at least say something real quick. Thank you, Faith. The only short trek I didn't like was the one with H. John Benjamin and the Tribbles. Other than that, I thought short treks were awesome.
Oh.
But now we've covered them all, because you can't forget to talk about short treks.
Don't eat Tribbles.
Yes! Don't eat Tribbles. I love H. John Benjamin. I love Archer. I love Bob's Burgers. He's got a character in Family Guy. I love it. And I was so excited that he was going to be in an episode of Short Treks, and then it was like my least favorite Short Trek.
Yeah.
If you like Tribbles, don't watch that one.
I wasn't thrilled with that one.
Although the end was kind of funny, but
the end was funny.
The end was funny, but like the idea of this is why we're doing it. Yeah, don't eat Tribbles.
Yeah, don't eat Tribbles. But to be fair,
yes, this is very true, but that doesn't mean you should eat them.
Ew. This is coming from a vegetarian too.
Listen, I am the furthest thing from a vegetarian you will find, and I still would not eat a Tribble. The same way I wouldn't, you know what? I am a very adventurous eater, But I had pet rabbits, so you will never catch me ever wanting to eat rabbit. I've eaten venison, I've eaten bison, I'll eat just about any seafood, but I will not eat. No. No, these are the ones that I wear for every show. But thanks for noticing. Yes, it was funny. It was funny. Like I said, the end was funny. The end was funny, but I just didn't like how they got there, like with H. Jump. But I mean, and like I said, I love H. Jump Benjamin, and I was just very disappointed that his episode was like my least favorite.
And it's okay, Faith. It's okay. But if you have Beyond Tribbles, maybe. Like Beyond Burgers.
Oh God, there you go. If I had a trick party, Trillant meatballs would definitely be on the menu.
Ew.
Oh wait, let's watch Melissa make the ew face. Because I think I got you to do that the last time you were on this show. You made that face.
Well, I just made it a couple of seconds ago.
I missed it because I was reading.
Ew.
Beyond Tribbles.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Beyond Tribbles. But the problem with Beyond Tribbles is somebody would have to eat a Tribble to know what to make the Beyond Tribbles taste like.
Well, that dude already ate the Tribbles, so.
Facebook keeps auto-correcting Tribbles. My phone has. I love how my phone how your phone learns your texts, like what you like to type. You know, because it's just. So your Facebook just needs to learn how to write Tribbles. Have Melissa make the Amber Heard "My dog stepped on a bee" face, please.
I am not an Amber Heard fan, so I'm not.
Lasso's been following the trial, so I could not even begin.
Not to, but it's so difficult because she gets under my skin. I'm not a fan, and this is way before all of the trial stuff.
Yeah. Listen, I'm sure. You know what? I'm sure that's probably true, but at least they didn't show us an entire episode based on Klingons making tribble kebabs. It was like when you were watching Star Wars. If you watched, what was the second one? God, okay, wait. It was,
triple kebabs.
Yeah, no. When they introduced the Porg on Star Wars in the second sequel, which for some reason the name of the damn movie is just escaping me. That's The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi. When they did The Last Jedi, and there's those cute little porgs on the island, and they're big. They were like big.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see Chewbacca eating one for dinner.
Ew, Chewbacca.
I was like, no, Chewie, what are you doing? And then the rest of them are just staring at him to make him feel guilty.
Chewie.
It's like, Chewie, no.
You mean number 8?
6, 7, 8. Wait. No, wait. It was 4, 5, 6. Oh, no, wait, it was 8. Yeah, 8. Because Star Wars was episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
So 4, 5, 6, and then 7, and then 8. Yeah, The Last Jedi was 8. Because it was The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. Which I thought Rise of Skywalker had the crappiest ending. I was so pissed off at that ending.
Oh, were they killed? Wait, Rise of Skywalker.
That was the last one. I was so excited because the Emperor was in it. So I was so excited to see the Emperor come back, but then the end just pissed me off.
Is that where what's his face dies?
Kylo Ren died. Han Solo died. Spoiler: Han Solo died in.
Oh, I didn't see that other movie.
Yeah, Han Solo died in the first sequel. Han Solo died in The Force Awakens.
Okay.
Which I hate. See, look, I'm my little emperor. I got it as like a Burger King thing.
Kylo Ren died?
Yeah, Kylo Ren died in the last one. The movies have been out long enough. Sorry. Linda, I have a rule about spoilers. After something's been out 48 hours is barely, like between 48 and 72 hours, I don't consider anything a spoiler. So it's been long enough. By the way, died, okay? 20 years! It's not a spoiler anymore. Here was a question from Twitter Prodigy Producer. I'll ask it to y'all. Who would win in a fight, Murph or the entire Klingon Empire?
Murph. He's
Murph!
indestructible.
That's funny.
He's indestructible.
Yeah, he would just swallow them all until they couldn't breathe. He would just like swallow them. They'd run out of air, you know. Yeah, definitely Murph. Definitely Murph.
Yeah,
absolutely agree.
He could swallow nuclear whatevers.
Yeah, he can swallow a Klingon. I mean, it might take him a while because it would be like one or two at a time, but yeah. So definitely Murph. Definitely Murph.
He's pliable.
He's so cute. When are they going to make like a big gel blobby thing of him? I would like get that, like a blobby jelly. When I was in Chicago, a lot of kids had like Murph stuff, like handmade that people had made for them. Some really cool Murph things.
That is a cute little doll.
Yeah. By the way, anybody out there watch Obi-Wan? I feel like I need to at least ask. Anybody's watched Obi-Wan?
I don't have Disney Plus.
Oh, okay. It's really good. I mean, Ewan McGregor. That's all. Ewan McGregor.
Well, I do like him.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There you go. Just throw a photon torpedo into Murph with the Klingons. Done. Lasso, I know you watched Obi-Wan. Faith, it's really good. Anybody out there that has Disney Plus, it's not just for Marvel. Obi-Wan was great. Ewan McGregor is great. It's good to see him back. There were some unexpected surprises. But since it was just on, I won't say anything.
Although I might sign up for Disney Plus now that there's a Willow series coming out this year.
That's right. There you go. If you have Hulu,
Davis and Joanne Whaley.
Do you have Hulu?
I have
because you can bundle Disney with Hulu and it's cheaper.
But I have it bundled with Spotify. So
I didn't know you could bundle Hulu with Spotify. You might be able to add Disney though. Look into that. You might be able to add Disney Plus in there too. Because that's how I got Disney Plus. I bundled it with my Hulu.
Gotcha.
So that way maybe you can get it and it won't be as expensive as a standalone.
Yeah. I wonder if I could do that with Amazon Prime.
I don't know.
Because you know how they have those channel add-ons?
Yeah.
And I have Prime.
That's how I got Paramount, because Paramount app sucks. So my Paramount is actually through Amazon Prime. So is BritBox, because that way I can get my British my Brit fix.
I love that.
Oh, BritBox is awesome. BritBox is awesome. Yes. But just because this is the last episode, I have to say this one more time just to support, Dominic. But Desmond's, which is an amazing BBC comedy, which was on in the mid-90s.
Yeah, I've heard of that show.
All 6 seasons are now available, and they're not through BritBox. They are just on Amazon Prime somehow.
Oh. So
you don't even need BritBox to watch them. Dominic was in the first 5 seasons. It went 6. Dominic was in the first 5.
Cool.
It's really, 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 really good. Even though what episodes he's not in. And I'm actually just on the 6th season. I'm watching it after he left. And because that's how much I love the show. I'm like, oh, Dominic's not in it anymore. I'm still going to finish it. I even told him that. I told him that when I was in Chicago. I'm like, I'm like, remember, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we talked about it a little bit. And I said, yeah, I'm going to watch it. I said, I'll even watch the 6th season without you. I said, that's how good I think the show is. I know you're not going to be in it, but I'll watch it to the end. But I'm trying to hurry up and finish it so that way I can go back to the beginning and start watching it again.
Wow.
You just reminded me that I'm paying for them separately. Oh, see, that's another reason why people need to tune into me, is because every now and then I come up with really great life hacks. I'm known for just spouting out, like, the best way to make an NX-01 ball cap is to buy a cheap black baseball hat and then buy the iron-on and then get somebody to sew it on the hat for you.
Oh. Easy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people are out there paying $30 for like the official NX01 hat. I'm like, I don't care if it's official. It's a black ball cap with NX01 on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it needs to be. So yeah, I think I spent $12, $13 on mine. So I got mine for half price because I did it in parts. So speaking of creative and the fact that it's going on midnight here, it's almost tomorrow here.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us on the East Coast, what's going on with walking art made by Malissa?
Well, it's on hiatus at the moment. I have some. It's under construction.
Okay.
Hopefully, it'll be back up soon. I may put some stuff on my Etsy store in the meantime until I get, back up in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So and possibly some. See, everything's up in the air, so I don't know. There could be some subscriptions and going to be added soon, but we'll see. Logistically, I'm figuring stuff out. So.
Oh yeah, because I still need to get a read alert shirt from you before Vegas.
Oh yeah. Well, you have my number, so.
Yeah. Don't you love it? Because that's how I get you on the show. Because I just text you. I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah. Melissa's text alert on my phone is actually something I found on. What the hell's it? I don't. Normally I have my phone here with me, but it's charging in the other room. Zedge. There's this really great app called Zedge that has like 1,012 different ringtones from 1,012 different places. And if you type in things like Deep Space Nine, it will come up with a bunch of notifications. And I found a notification that is literally right off of Deep Space Nine. It's Quark and Rom talking, and at the very end, it's Nog, and that's Melissa's text tone. So every time I hear Rom go, I'd be proud to have a son in Starfleet. I'm like, oh, Melissa's texting me. And then sometimes I just let it play out. So. Because that way I just know. If it's just my regular text tone, I'm like, do I really care who's texting me? But if I hear the individual text tone, Magic Lasso is actually the theme to Wonder Woman. Just like the very beginning.
That's cool.
Yeah. Every time I hear that, I know it's Lasso.
Yeah. Mine's on silent. So.
I always answer
my phone's on silent.
Oh, it's always on silent?
So, yes. And yeah, everything is on silent. So if I don't answer for like 12 years, it's because I haven't gotten it yet.
Then I'll just keep texting. Be like, wait, no, where are you? You need to come on my show.
I know.
But no, I do that. Like I annoy people. They're like, well, do you need to get your phone? I'm like, no, because everything on my phone has a different ringtone. Like I have even my generic ringtone is something that I put together. So like I know, like I have a couple of generic things, but then everything is personalized. All of my emails, I have like 12 email accounts coming into my phone, and they each have a different notification sound. So I know exactly which emails I'm getting. So my phone has a very obnoxious personality. I used to do that, but it went off during a class one time, and the song would not stop playing. Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll be back up within the next week or so, or maybe 2.
Well, if they follow you on Twitter, then maybe you would announce it and let people know when it's back up.
Oh yeah. I'll announce it.
Yeah, so go follow Melissa on the socials. And then
who does already?
Oh, well, there you go. So you don't need the phone number. There you go.
Yeah. And actually, Carl has a shirt coming to him and print coming to him. So just because my website's down doesn't mean your order isn't coming.
There you go. Lasso, you are an hour behind me, and you're leaving to go to bed. Thank you. Oh. Thank you always, Lasso, for joining me. And good night. Have a good night, Lasso.
Lasso, Wonder Woman, Lasso.
Yes, Wonder Woman. Yes, and for anybody who out there who does not know, if you are into comic books or you're looking to get into comic books or you're looking for some advice about comic books, Magic Lasso is definitely somebody you should check out. And his YouTube page is also part of this show's description. So if you want to just pop down and click over and subscribe to Lasso. What else is in there? Shuttlepods in Seventh Rule. If you want to subscribe to Seventh Rule, I have a whole list of my favorite YouTube channels, and they are all located in the description of the show so that you can easily find them and subscribe to them. Because this is it for me for live. I'm probably going to take a week or two off, but I am totally considering about maybe at least taping my reviews of Strange New Worlds and Shuttlepod shows and at least posting those videos for you guys. Well, Heather, then you absolutely go to sleep. Thank you for hanging out with me this long, or hanging out with us this long. I appreciate it. So please. Yes, it is after midnight here on the East Coast. But so hang out, because I'll be sending out notifications, and you'll see that maybe some recorded stuff could be coming your way on this channel. This is just my last live show until September. And please, just because... Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Please come back again anytime. I am a Seventh Rule after party, so you're absolutely allowed to come here by way of Seventh Rule.
And we love you on the Seventh Rule, Heather.
And you know what, Heather? I may see you on the Seventh Rule, because every now and then I pop into something that they're doing, because I love all those guys too. So I may just pop in and say hi. So I might not be doing live every Monday, but I will be around. And like I said, I will probably be recording some things, so you guys won't miss me too much. Please remember to think about questions for your favorite Trek actors. And if they are in the vendor's room, just the vendor's room, which is listed under their descriptions on the guest page. Or if you think of a question for Malissa between now and then that she hasn't answered. So, Robert, thank you so much. Thank you as always for joining us. Yep. Robert, I don't know if any Klingons have been announced, but if the Klingons get announced for STLV, I will be more than happy to ask them your questions. We'll see what happens. JG got added at the very, very last minute last year. So, Blue, thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for letting us hang out with you. Oh, well, thank you so much, Blue, for joining us. Always good to have you. Like I said, without you guys hanging out with me, I wouldn't be here. So thank you so much. So much for hanging out with me. Melissa, thank you for joining me. Until I see you all again live, you know what I'm going to say, and I'm saying it anyway. Remember, have a great summer, y'all, and be sure to live long and prosper.
Hey, this is Connor Turner. You've been listening to the NX7062 podcast with Stephanie. Enjoy your evening.